Have you ever felt your energy drain in the presence of someone who feeds on chaos? Like water seeping through invisible cracks, their darkness finds every opening in your defenses. You give compassion, they take control. You offer understanding, they demand submission. But what if I told you that your sensitivity, that very quality they exploit, could become your greatest weapon? Not through aggression, but through the ancient art of energetic aikido. When you master yourself completely, when you become the eye of the storm, even the most cunning predator loses their power over you. If this resonates with your journey, consider subscribing as we explore the path together. The one who wins the battle is not the one who strikes hardest, but the one who remains unmoved. This teaching from the mountain monasteries holds a secret that modern psychology is only beginning to understand. When dealing with someone who feeds on emotional turbulence, what we call a narcissist, your greatest strength isn't in fighting back. It's in becoming so grounded, so centered, that their storms cannot touch your core. Picture this. In the gleaming towers of Vanguard Industries, Zoe walks through glass corridors with measured steps. She's what ancient traditions would call an exceptional empath, someone who feels deeply but has learned to channel that sensitivity into wisdom. Her CEO, Victor, is brilliant but broken. He builds empires on the rubble of others' self-worth. When he speaks, his words carry honey and venom in equal measure. Zoe, that presentation was interesting. I suppose not everyone can think strategically. The old Zoe would have absorbed this poison, let it seep into her bones. But something has changed. She's discovered the 7 pillars of emotional mastery, and they've transformed her from victim to victor, not through domination, but through something far more powerful: unshakable presence. The first pillar is boundaries as armor. But understand this: boundaries aren't walls you build in anger. They're energy fields you cultivate in stillness. When Victor leans across the conference table, his voice dripping with false concern, "I worry about your commitment to the company vision," Zoe doesn't shrink. She doesn't expand. She simply is. Her response comes from a place deeper than emotion. "I appreciate your perspective, Victor. My commitment manifests through consistent results which speak for themselves." Notice what happened there? She didn't defend. She didn't attack. She simply stated truth from a place of absolute centeredness. This is the secret the narcissist cannot comprehend. When you refuse to play their game, when you neither push nor pull, you become like water that cannot be grasped. Can you remember a time when someone's words felt like hooks trying to drag you into their drama? What if you could feel those hooks, but choose not to bite? The second pillar reveals itself through absence, withholding narcissistic supply. Every narcissist is like a flame that requires constant fuel. They need your reactions, your distress, your admiration, your fear. But what happens when you remove the oxygen? Victor schedules a meeting at 7 p.m. on Friday, knowing Zoe has plans. The old pattern would be protest, negotiation, eventual submission. Instead, she responds with profound simplicity. "I have a commitment at that time. I'm available Monday at 9 a.m. No explanation, no emotion, no fuel. Watch what unfolds." Victor, accustomed to creating ripples, finds only stillness. He pushes harder. "This is urgent. I thought you were a team player." But Zoe has learned the ancient truth. You cannot fill a cup that has no bottom. She maintains her stance with serene certainty. Monday at 9 a.m. works perfectly for addressing urgent matters. This isn't coldness. This is clarity. When you stop feeding the beast of someone else's dysfunction, something remarkable happens. They must face the hunger within themselves. The third pillar cuts deeper: emotional non-identification. Remember the Shaolin teaching. I am not my body. I am not my mind. I am not my emotions. This isn't denial, it's liberation. When Victor launches his next assault, a public criticism in the team meeting about Zoe's lack of innovation, she practices the art of witnessing. Inside, she feels the familiar surge, heat in the chest, tightness in the throat. But instead of becoming these sensations, she observes them. There's anger arising. There's the urge to defend. Interesting. She breathes into the space between stimulus and response. When she speaks, it comes from awareness, not reactivity. I value diverse perspectives on innovation. Let's schedule time to align on specific metrics. Can you imagine the power in this? While Victor expects emotional combustion, he encounters only transparent presence. His weapon, emotional manipulation, strikes only empty air. The fourth pillar offers a practical tool, the rain method. When the storms come, and they will come, you need a compass. Recognize what's arising within you. Accept it fully. This isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Investigate with curiosity. Why does this particular trigger affect me? Then practice non-identification. This emotion is passing through me. It is not me. Zoe uses this in real time. When Victor questions her competence before the board, she feels the ancient shame rising. But now she has tools. Recognize there's humiliation. Accept. It's okay to feel this. Investigate. This connects to old wounds about not being enough. Non-identify. I am the awareness experiencing this, not the emotion itself. From this space, her response emerges with startling clarity. I welcome feedback that helps us achieve our objectives. Let's review the data together after the meeting. The fifth pillar transforms defense into revelation. Mirror empathy. This is perhaps the most elegant move in the emotional aikido arsenal. Instead of absorbing or deflecting, you simply reflect. When Victor rages about a missed deadline that was actually his fault, Zoe becomes a perfect mirror. I can see you're frustrated. About the project timeline. You seem to be under significant pressure. Watch what happens when narcissistic projection meets clear reflection. Victor expects resistance, which would justify his aggression. Instead, he encounters his own image. For perhaps the first time, he must see himself. The mirror doesn't judge, it simply shows. And in that showing, there's a crack in the armor, a moment where truth might enter. Have you ever considered that sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone lost in their own delusion is simply to show them what they're doing, without judgment, without reaction, with only clarity? The sixth pillar reaches the summit, unshakable. Presence. This isn't something you do, it's something you become. Through consistent practice, through facing your own shadows, through refusing to abandon yourself for anyone else's dysfunction, you develop what the masters call mountain consciousness. Zoe no longer prepares for Victor's attacks because she's discovered something profound. When you're truly grounded, when your roots reach deep into your own being, surface storms cannot uproot you. She walks into meetings with the same energy. She brings to meditation, alert, relaxed, present. Victor's attempts to destabilize her only reveal his own instability. One morning, he tries a new tactic, excessive praise followed by subtle undermining. Zoe, you're so talented. It's a shame you limit yourself with such conventional thinking. But mountain consciousness cannot be flattered or insulted. It simply is. Her response carries the weight of bedrock. I appreciate your perspective. I find that solid foundations enable the most innovative solutions. The seventh and final pillar completes the circle, compassionate detachment. This is the most misunderstood aspect of dealing with narcissistic individuals. Compassion doesn't mean enabling. Detachment doesn't mean coldness. It's the revolutionary act of holding genuine care for someone's humanity while refusing to participate in their dysfunction. Zoe sees through Victor's behavior to the wounded child beneath, the one who learned that control meant safety, that domination meant love. She holds space for his healing while maintaining impeccable boundaries. When he finally breaks down after a failed acquisition, admitting his fear of being seen as weak, she responds with profound simplicity. Strength includes acknowledging our vulnerabilities. I'm here to support the company's success, including yours. But notice, she doesn't rescue, she doesn't fix, she doesn't absorb his pain. She simply witnesses with clarity and kindness, allowing him the dignity of his own journey. The transformation is subtle, but seismic. As weeks pass, Victor's usual tactics lose their charge. His manipulations meet only centered presence. His provocations find no fuel. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the dynamic shifts. Not because Zoe fought back, but because she became unbreakable through softness, invincible through surrender to her own truth. The team begins to notice. Where once there was walking on eggshells, now there's stability. Where once there was chaos, now there's clarity. Zoe has become a tuning fork, vibrating at a frequency that invites others to find their own center. But here's the ultimate secret. This was never about Victor. It was always about Zoe's relationship with herself. The narcissist was simply the whetstone against which she sharpened her own clarity. Every trigger became a teacher, every attack an invitation to deeper grounding. Can you see it now? The empath's journey isn't about becoming harder, it's about becoming clearer. It's not about building walls, it's about finding center. When you master the art of being with yourself fully, completely, unapologetically, you become immune to those who would use your sensitivity against you. Ask yourself, where in your life are you giving your power away? Which relationships drain your energy because you're trying to fill someone else's void? What would happen if you stopped trying to fix, to please, to prove, and simply stood in your own truth? The narcissist's greatest fear is irrelevance. When you refuse to make them the center of your emotional universe, when you tend to your own garden instead of trying to water their desert, something shifts in the cosmic balance. They must face the echo chamber of their own need. And you discover that your sensitivity, when grounded in self-mastery, becomes a superpower. The path isn't easy. It requires facing your own shadows, healing your own wounds, choosing consciousness over comfort again and again. But on the other side of this work lies freedom, not just from others' manipulation, but from your own patterns of self-abandonment. Remember, the battle was never with them. It was always about coming home to yourself. When you master that journey, when you become the sovereign of your own inner kingdom, no external force can colonize your peace. Your sensitivity is not your weakness, it's your radar. Your empathy is not your vulnerability, it's your strength, but only when you root it in the unshakable ground of self-awareness, only when you refuse to negotiate your own truth for anyone else's comfort. The exceptional empath doesn't defeat the narcissist. They transcend the entire game. They step into a dimension where manipulation has no meaning because authenticity has become their native language. Walk gently with yourself as you practice these principles. Some days you'll forget, some moments you'll react. That's okay. Even mountains were formed through pressure and time. What matters is the return, always the return, to your own center. Begin today with one breath, one boundary, one moment of choosing awareness over reaction. The narcissist in your life might not change, but you will, and in that transformation lies your liberation. The ancient masters knew, true power isn't in controlling others. It's in mastering yourself so completely that others' attempts to control you become irrelevant. When you embody this truth, you don't just survive the narcissist's games, you transcend them entirely. May you walk in clarity. May you stand in truth. May you discover that your greatest protection was always your own awakened presence. See you next time. Keep your eyes open, your mind curious, and your spirit evolving.